Europe has just announced a brand new strategic roadmap for India. This plan is meant to transform the relationship between Brussels and New Delhi. It goes beyond trade. It touches technology, defense, connectivity, climate, and sustainability. But the biggest focus is on one issue, a free trade agreement, FTA. The European Union says it wants this deal wrapped up by the end of this year, and the timing could not be more interesting. Just a few days ago, US President Donald Trump was urging Europe to punish India with tariffs over Russian oil purchases. Instead of siding with Washington, Europe has chosen to double down on India. The new EU and India roadmap. The strategy is called the EU and the India Strategic Agenda. It is built on 5 pillars. First, trade and investment. Second, technology and innovation. Third, security and defense. Fourth, connectivity. Fifth, climate and sustainability. At the center of all these pillars is trade specifically. The free trade agreement. Kaja Kallas, the EU's foreign policy chief, explained the vision. She said, "Our new communication sets out possibilities for closer cooperation on trade, technology, security and defense and climate." A free trade agreement, an investment protection agreement and a comprehensive air transport agreement can all be pillars of this partnership. Defense and security angle, but it is not only about economics. Brussels also wants closer defense industry ties. Europe is preparing a security of information agreement. This would allow the exchange of classified intelligence. Plans are also on the table for cooperation in maritime security, cyber defense and counterterrorism. This shows that the partnership is not limited to business. It also covers strategic security. Of course, there are sticking points. Europe has openly voiced concern over India's continued oil imports from Russia. Kaja Kallas said, because ultimately our partnership is not only about trade, but also about defending a rules-based international order. Our negotiations will address these challenges with the aim of adopting a joint roadmap at the EU and India summit in early 2026. So while Brussels is betting big on India, it also wants assurance on global rules and responsibilities. The EU has made its choice clear. It prefers engagement over sanction or tariffs. Unlike Washington's pressure tactics, Brussels does not want to push India closer to Moscow. Instead, it wants to build long-term trust, and the number explain why goods trade between the EU and India has grown nearly 90% in the past decade. Reaching $41 billion in 2024, services trade added another $71 billion in 2023. Maros Šefčovič, Europe's trade commissioner, underlined the importance. He said, "What we need is a commercially meaningful, fair agreement, and I need the understanding of my Indian counterparts. It must be balanced because this is a very important free trade agreement that has to be approved within the EU." The roadmap also highlights areas of future cooperation such as green hydrogen and renewable energy, climate finance, connectivity projects like the India-Middle East-Europe Economic Corridor. These projects reflect the broad and future-looking vision that both sides share. But the biggest talking point remains the timing. Only days before this announcement, Donald Trump has publicly asked Europe to impose tariffs on India over Russian oil. Instead of following that lead, Brussels announced a bolder partnership plan with New Delhi. Clearly, the EU wants to signal that India is a long-term partner, not a target of punishment. The next round of EU and India trade talks is scheduled for October in Brussels. Internal EU discussions will follow, and the roadmap is expected to be formally adopted at the EU and India summit in early 2026. For Europe, this is about securing trade flows, technology partnerships, and political stability at a time of global uncertainty. For India, it is about expanding access to markets, strengthening partnership, and enhancing its global role. In the end, one thing is clear. Europe's future strategy sees India as a central partner.